G'day guys, MAT5 here, and today I'll be reviewing Infamous First Light. So Infamous First Light is a standalone DLC for Infamous Second Son, which are developed by Sucker Punch Productions. And this series is an open world action game based around conduits, which are people that wield special superpowers. So in Infamous Second Son you played as Delson, and he had the ability to absorb other conduits' powers to use for himself. And along the way he ended up meeting a few conduits during the course of the game, and one of them was Fetch, aka Abigail Walker, and she is who you will be playing in Infamous First Light. And the story focus in this DLC is that you have been captured by the government group known as the DUP, which are tasked with tracking down and capturing the last remaining conduits. And as Fetch, you begin explaining your story to the leader of the group, Brooke Augustine, and you end up playing in a number of flashbacks recalling the events that lead up to your eventual capture by the DUP. So this entire DLC acts as a prequel to Infamous Second Son, so you won't really need to have played that game to understand what's going on, but of course it does help. So at the start of the game, you and your brother are on the run from the DUP, and after a job goes badly wrong, your brother ends up missing, and you have to unleash your powers and do anything to find him. So if there is one thing I really like about this DLC, it would have to be its story and characters. Fetch herself is a very damaged individual with a deep past, and as you play, you start to understand the important relationship between her and her brother Brent. Of course, you do end up meeting a couple more characters throughout the game, but I don't want to go too into it because I don't want to spoil anything. But I will say that I actually quite enjoyed the ending and the build up to the ending, but that's all I'll say. So if you've never played an Infamous game, it's pretty much an open world action game with the main focus of superpower combat. Fetch wields the power of Neon, which was also featured in Second Son and was my personal favourite power. As strange as this power sounds, it is incredibly beautiful to look at, whether it be in combat or her using her super speed around Seattle. Combat is also very fluid, as you can easily go from hand-to-hand combat to shooting neon at foes, going into slow motion to hit specific limbs to immobilize your enemies. And she can also do this attack, which looks absolutely amazing. This game is a treat to the eyes in general. So overall, I completed the story and the side missions, everything around all the districts on the map, and it took me around 4 hours, which is usual for a DLC. The game also throws in challenges and arenas for you to complete, which are a nice added touch and add replayability to the game. You can also upgrade Fetch by collecting special points, which are obtained by collecting neon gases around the area, completing challenges, and so on. I don't know what it is, but when there is a number of stuff scattered across an environment for me to collect to become stronger in general, I can't help but collect every last one I see. And the world is also littered with these special speed gases that make you travel faster and jump higher, so there is a bit of challenge to collecting these neon gases. So if I had to explain this game to someone, I would say that it's just a taste of what's to come in Infamous Second Son, in which First Light feels like a light version of that game. You only get half of the map to explore, a couple of repetitive side activities, no morality system, one superpower, and all in all, quite repetitive story missions. The story missions do keep trying to do something different, such as this kind of turret section that's in the game, but when the game just keeps throwing these objectives at you multiple times throughout the game, it just loses its appeal. It felt like everything was very constricted in this game, probably due to the fact that it is only a quick DLC, and they tried to fit as much of that Infamous love into it as they could, and I'm not sure I really enjoyed that. My main pros for the game was its characters and stories. Fetch is a great character, and I know everybody seems to hate Delson, but I actually quite liked him, and until now, I didn't actually know he was voice acted by Troy Baker again! Man, this guy just keeps sneaking up on me every time. I feel like this DLC would have been a lot better if they had just focused on the story missions of the game, and make them as unique and varied as possible, instead of focusing on all of the open world aspects as well. I would have enjoyed the game a lot more if the story missions were interesting and different, but instead we are just left with mostly repetitive gameplay in both the main and side missions. I did however quite enjoy the last couple of levels in the game in terms of gameplay and story, in which I felt it was the most creative and fun. Besides the main and the side missions, there's really only the arena rooms, which I actually enjoyed at times, but it can get quite old fast. So after I finished First Light, I sort of reflected on the experience and I thought to myself, I would have enjoyed this a lot more if it had come out before Second Son, because it would have been a great tease of what to expect in that game. There is just so much more content in the original game, and they tried their best to cram all aspects of that into this DLC, but they should have just focused on the main story, because that's what the fans are playing this for. We don't want a miniature version of Second Son, we just want to experience Fetch's story and the uniqueness about her, but instead they focus too much on making it more like a smaller version of Second Son. Son. This could, of course, resulted in a much lesser game, but I only really enjoyed the characters and the story, and if they had made just that into a fully fleshed out story experience with lots of variety and missions, and with a lesser price tag, I would have been so much happier. So I give Infamous First Light a 6 out of 10, mainly because at times this game just felt like an overly expensive demo to me, and didn't feel like the 20 plus price tag was really worth it in the end. I just didn't enjoy the repetitive mission design and side missions, and I just felt like I was grinding to get to the conclusion, which in my opinion was the best part of the entire game. So if you haven't played Second Son, I think you will enjoy this a lot more, but for me, I think I'd rather just stick to the original game. So what did you guys think of Infamous First Light? Did you think it was just an overly expensive demo of what's to come in Second Son? And if you have any questions about the game, leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you. And if you like this review and you want to see more, remember to like me on Facebook or subscribe to me on YouTube if you want to see more. And thank you for watching my review of Infamous First Light. It was a quick little review for a quick little DLC. It was a bit of fun, but you know, just a bit too repetitive for me. Alright, MAT5 is bloody out of here.